So, like today's topic is on organizations. So we have to start from here. So an organization's corporate or organizational ethical culture reflects the integrity of decisions. That means how honestly or ethically they take decisions, and the members are involved in decision making with all the by considering like ethics or honesty into that. So it is a function of several factors including corporate policies. So decisions are not taken like that, you know. Decisions are taken by considering various after considering various facts, okay, and like the policies and top management's leadership on ethical issues, how they behave, the influence of other workers, and the opportunity or lack of opportunity for unethical behavior. So all these are considered. The more the employees perceive the organization's cultural culture to be ethical, the less likely they are to make unethical decisions, of course. So the perception here works out. If the perception is that in organization nothing should go wrong, and the culture is such that they don't want to, they don't want any kind of unethical uh, like uh, unethical approach towards anything, then definitely things would be ethical and less chance of going unethical. Now, the organization is expected to be proactive and provide an environment where employees are encouraged to behave ethically in a manner consistent with the culture of the organization. So, the organization is expected to be proactive, okay, and they provide an environment where employees are encouraged to behave ethically in a manner consistent with culture of the organization. If the organization's culture itself is like ethical, they want all the employees to be the employees would also be getting an encouragement, and they'll be actively like actively participating in all the ethical uh, like decisions, and they will be kind of like they will be very much consistent with the ethical approach of the organization, and thus the organization is responsible for creating and defining the ethical standards of behavior that it expects from its members. Also, organization must take responsibility for action of its members when unethical behavior occurs. Of course, that is the like that we can say punishment. The ones who are unethical have to be punished. So three key elements are necessary in order for an ethical corporate culture to be developed and sustained. These three factors we have to take. One is ethical leadership is very much required, and it should come from the topmost hierarchy. At the top level, the board of directors, senior executives, and managers, they should act ethically, and the tone would go from them to the subordinates. Like if the boss is ethical, then how come the subordinates can try to like take that risk whereby they would be taking any chances of doing any unethical act? It's highly like rarely it would be seen. A set of core ethical values, they should install that, okay, and there will be very less likelihood of misconduct if that happens. And a formal ethics program that includes a code of ethics, so they should implement code of ethics in the organization, make good rules, policies, okay, that prescribe appropriate behavior, ethics training, and an ethics officer should be appointed who looks into the all these aspects of ethics and compliance with ethics, okay. Now, creating a moral and ethical business environment is not an easy task. Globalization exposes companies to many different cultures and business environments, each with its own set of values and practices. The IMA summarizes the potential cultural conflict as follows. Globalization increases the potential impact of behavioral conflicts. Of course, if you go like enter into various markets, if you are entering into other, if you are going and setting up your shop or your factory or your establishment, or if you're a multinational company, you definitely would be exploring or entering into new horizons, and the cultural differences can be seen as well. The behavioral conflicts also come into picture. So an organization operating in different countries may find that the values and ethical standards of other cultures clash with its own, of course. And global business expansion can result from mergers and acquisitions, geographic growth, and product or service expansion. Some of the greatest challenges arising from expansion into new markets are those posed by differing business cultures. Despite legislation prohibiting bribery, such as the U.S. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act and UK Bribery Act, the organizations doing business in other cultures will face the problem of making sales or getting work done in locations where a commission is expected, of course. So like US firm wants to enter into some country whereby the US companies should not do any kind of corruption. Strictly, they should abide with the UK Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. But you know, in some countries, until and unless you give commission, you won't get business at all. So what is happening here? They are now they are compelled, or they have a pressure of like obtaining a business, and for that they have to of course act unethically. Okay, despite of all the laws, rules, and what in US you follow, and you are very ethical company, but still if you want to enter, this is what is the problem. So these are the challenges what they are facing. They have to bribe, it's not written anywhere. These are the challenges what they are facing. Now the IMA provides a method for companies to navigate the complexity of operating in a global business environment. Every organization needs to define, so they should put their principles forward. These are the principles what we follow, what we work with, and they should outline their organizational values. See, if you give an introduction to someone in that way, there's less chance of someone pressurizing you for anything. Correct? Directly, they won't do that. They won't ask you to support them in any corrupt practices. So you should clearly outline your values and the code of ethics and corporate conduct that provides guidance in decision making internally and in relation to external parties and compliance requirements. Such guidance is a critical element in the creation of a framework for ethical management. However, if employees are going to perceive an ethics code as real, they need to see it being applied consistently across the whole organization. Of course, if the perception is that uh, like we want a ethical environment, okay, so that has to be the application in the whole organization, even if that means that some opportunities must be passed up because they would require organization to disregard its ethical values. Now, professional code of ethics. So, you know, IMA wants all the members to follow the professional code of ethics, and the conduct should always be ethical in a company. So, and you know, if some violations are happening, if the IMA's members are violating, they are not following the code of ethics either in their practice or employment. So, there's a hotline they have kind of uh, what we say something they have like come out with some mechanism with the help of which they can kind of like know the members conduct or any malpractices if they're involved into. So there's a note here, the IMA ethics helpline toll free telephone number that can be used in US or Canada to begin the process is this. So individuals outside of US and Canada may need to dial another toll free access code first before dialing the ethics helpline. So why they have ethics helpline? So for that some history. Some organizations, including the IMA, have a set of ethical standards they require members to respect and comply with in both their professional and personal lives. Of course, if you are a professional and you're a member of IMA, you should lead a life which should be the one in which you should respect and comply with both the professional uh, like uh, like comply with the IMS ethical standards in both the professional and personal lives. Now, referring to its statement of ethical professional practice, the IMA states in its publication, Values and Ethics, from inception to practice, members of the organization are expected to abide by the statement and engage these principles, both at their jobs and in the life itself. So they should follow these rules and regulations and values and ethics given by the IMA. Why? Because you know it's not harmful for you in any ways. So there's no harm in applying that in your lives even. So even if it costs them financially, just as members of other professional organizations are expected to abide by the group's respective code of ethics. Yeah, if you are a lawyer, if you are a doctor, if you are a chartered accountant, if you are anything, any professional should abide with their with the laws, with the what we say like values and ethics. Okay, values and ethics, a code of ethics, etc. in their professional and in their personal life. Okay, just give me a second. Now, and like different organizations have their own ethics, code of ethics, so they will give their members the code of ethics which they have to follow. Okay, so like many organizations including the IMA have created confidential ethics helplines. The IMA's website at, this is the website given, states the following regarding its helpline. After a preliminary discussion of the problem to determine the kind of ethics issue being reported, a member of IMA's committee on ethics will telephone the caller if desired to help them understand and apply the provisions of IMA's statement of ethical professional practice. Confidentiality is maintained all the times. IMA cannot provide a specific resolution, but will discuss how the issue relates to provisions of statement. That means they want their members to follow this, and they will put forward all this. And if you have any issues or any problem, you can dial their helpline. So IMA's helpline cannot be used as a hotline to report specific suspected ethical violations for action to be taken on them. However, it was not developed for that purpose. It was developed to help. That's it, not to complain. Okay. Importance of an ethics based organizational culture. It is very important. Why? Because as you know, the world is dynamic, the world is changing, and we should also be like more and more dynamic. The situations would come whereby uh, like there'll be testing times, but in any case you should always try to comply with ethics and also the legal compliances. There can be testing times, but you cannot be unethical for any reasons. Now, companies operating internationally must often confront cultural clashes. That means they should try to accustom themselves in those countries, and they should try to study the culture and try to follow the beliefs, follow in the sense, try to respect the beliefs of different people in different countries. Okay, so, for example, outsourcing of activities such as manufacturing or call center operations may result in organizations with corporate headquarters in one society, while other parts of the company are located in different countries where values, expectations, and behavioral norms may be different for those in headquarters country. That's what. See, Microsoft, Google, Apple, all the tech related jobs are done in those countries, but all the mean jobs where routine activities are to be done are outsourced or dumped in India because they want cheap labor. Okay, so like for that reason, what is happening? The cultural changes in India with respect to the culture in United States. There and here you find different work culture, isn't it so? So it is therefore imperative that such a company clearly define its expectations of ethical behavior and provide support and encouragement to employees for complying. In order to ensure that employees worldwide are interpreting and implementing company policy despite any cultural differences that may arise. So they should first say, see, our notion is very clear that we respect every culture and all the things, and we have, since the companies are operating around the world and they've studied all the culture. Okay, very deeply they have understood all the values, and they try to come in a common concord and frame certain guidelines which everyone has to follow. Now, thus the effort to create a value-based organizational culture should be seen as an investment in the company's human resources, and which can lead to, see, if all are like doing their task in a motivated manner and very much following the ethics, then it's very good for the company. Why? Because the risk of fraud is absolutely minimized because of this. Okay, so the workers, if you are hired by a company and they are paying you for that, see, you should always be loyal to your organization. That is ethical values. So your productivity would be increasing, and you will be much more motivated, and you will be working in the company. You will be gelling up well with your team. Why? Because in ethics, there's no scope of clash, or like differences may be there, but the ethics, your work ethics is nothing but you cannot you like, it's not like you should take revenge on someone. That is unethical. Taking revenge conspiring against someone, making conspiracy and all is all unethical. Okay, so it's better if you be soft, calm, honest, sincere. Okay, and and you like kind of whatever the conflicts of interest are there, you resolve it and you work in a team. Less fraud through a sense of ownership and identification with the company. Yeah, if you are thinking that you're the company in which you're working, it's your company, boss, it's your company. When you it's your company, how come you can do any kind of fraudulent acts with your company? Nothing, you cannot do that. So sense of ownership is that. Better business process and higher quality of services through engaged and committed employees and improved financial performance as well. Now there are certain importance of code of ethics. A code of ethics is important to the organization and its members for the following reasons. In writing the code of ethics, senior management is required to define and document its expectations from the organization. First and foremost thing, it's not like I will write everything and I'll give to people and I'll ask them to follow it blindly or I'll pressurize them to follow. It's not going to work out like that. That is not ethical. The documents are framed after studying the scenario, okay, and expectations. The code of ethics provides a common standard and understanding of understanding of company's definition of ethical behavior by creating a reference point for the company employees. So what happens? The code of ethics provides a common standard. Everyone has to follow that standard. It's not like it's like for a group of people it is something else, or another group of people it's something else. No, whatever it is, for every employee in the organization, the code of ethics is the same. Okay, and if in fact if the companies provide code of ethics, the employees understand what ethics is for the company, what according to company is ethical. Okay, and what is the definition of ethics according to them. Okay, and again that becomes a reference point for employees that they have to refer always and work. A reference point created by the code of ethics provides a framework for decision making when an explicit company policy does not exist. Yeah, explicit is nothing but something which hasn't been been a part of anything. Maybe they did not, there's some inclusions what they needed to do but they did not do. So understood, like whatever is going to happen ethically. That we have that mindset, the employees would develop if a strong code of ethics is existing. Now, a code of ethics complies with legislation in United States. Excuse me.
Hi.
Yeah. Now, a code of ethics complies with legislation in United States. See, when in US, if you are operating or you are starting a company or any US company, have to follow the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002 and the Stock Exchange Securities Exchange Commission's guidelines. Now, Sarbanes-Oxley Act and Code of Ethics, let's discuss this. Section 406 of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act incorporated into the Securities Exchange Commission regulations, we say SEBI in India, as item 406 of regulation S2K requires every company. So these are the regulations given in that 406 section, that every company that is registered with the SEC, that is the Securities Exchange Commission of United States, has to disclose whether or not it has adopted a code of ethics for its principal executive officer, principal financial officer, that is CFO, we say in India, or in companies CEO, and principal accounting officer CAO, and the financial controller or controller or persons performing similar functions. So first of all, as per the Securities Exchange Commission, as per the Sarbanes Oxley Act section 406, whichever the company that is registered with SEBI, Securities Exchange Commission in US, should disclose whether or not they have adopted code of ethics, and all these people which I have underlined are following those code of ethics or not. Any waivers of code of ethics for these individuals, are they kind of given some kind of exemption, should be disclosed. Any changes made to code of ethics should be disclosed. If a company does not have a code of ethics for its principal executive officer, that is CEO, CFO, or other officers or persons performing similar functions, it must explain why it has not adopted one. So again, that is keeping a check on the companies. Section 406 does not require a company to have a code of ethics. However, if a company does not have one for specific officers named above, see, they are not saying that your entire company should be under the ambit of code of ethics, but for these people, whether they are following or not, it is mandatory. However, if a company does not have any have one for the specific officers, it must explain as a part of its disclosure why it has not adopted one. According to item 406, the term code of ethics means written standards that are reasonably designed to deter wrongdoing and to promote honest and ethical conduct. See, they want all the things in written form, documented form, oral. If you say, see, you know, orally, if we give some assurance, there is a chance of we again changing our words because there is no proof. But if things are documented and signed thoroughly, of course, it is a proof. So, according to item 406, the term code of ethics means written standards that are reasonably designed to deter wrongdoing and to promote what? So, they don't want any wrongdoings now, and they want to promote honest and ethical conduct, including the ethical handling of actual or apparent conflicts of interest between personal and professional relationships. So there should not be any kind of conflict of interest between these two. Full, fair, accurate, timely, and understandable disclosure in reports and documents that are registrant files, that means company, or submits to the commission and in other public communications made by the registrant. Compliance with applicable governmental laws, rules, and regulations. The prompt internal reporting of violations of code to appropriate person or persons identified in the code. Okay, if at all they are violating, then the prompt internal reporting of violations. If at all there is any violation, immediately that should be reported, and accountability for adherence to the code. If you are not following the code, then your company is accountable. So a company may have separate code of ethics for different types of officers. Such code of ethics may be contained within a broader document that addresses additional topics or that applies to more persons than those specified by item 406. Yeah, your company may have some additional code of ethics, but they can also be followed, but this is mandatory to follow if you have registered yourself with Securities Exchange Commission. Apart from this, you can follow that. This is mandatory. According to section 406, the code of ethics is to be disclosed by filing it. That means you have to do it as a filing with the Securities Exchange Commission. Like you can fill up the forms. There will be some forms in that you have to file your disclosures. It as an exhibit to company's annual report filed with SEC by posting it on company's website. Yeah, disclosures are always posted in company's website only. Or company may agree to provide a copy of code upon request at no charge. If the item 406 code of ethics is part of a broader document, only the portions that satisfy the requirements of 406 need to be disclosed by filing with SEC, posting on company's website, or provided upon request. These are the necessary filings have to be done. If a company elects to satisfy the requirements of section 406 by posting its code of ethics in its website, the code of ethics must remain accessible on the website for as long as the company remains subject to the requirements of item 406. Of course, they are registered in SEC, so they have to keep that in the website itself till the time they are registered or listed, and chooses to comply with the requirements by posting its code of ethics. See, what happens if you are listed with SEC, your company's brand image would be very good. People will be trusting your company more than other companies, and the investors would be ready to invest in your company, or banks loans and all those will be getting easily. In other words, company may not post the code of ethics briefly and then remove it. It's not like that you put it and then you remove it. No, it should be there. So the code of ethics must be ongoing exhibit on its website. Effect of peer pressure on ethical behavior. Social influence from professional and business associations. That is peer pressure. Of course, when a company is existing, it may have different clients, customers, and then the pressure from them also comes. Affects behavior as well. A culture. See, if you have a very big client, we can say one of customers, very big customer, who is like associated with you since long time, and who's been doing business with you since long time, and like you are like to much extent dependent on that client, or your dealer or whatever. Then what happens, like we say Maruti Suzuki's lot many cars are sold by Varun Motors in Hyderabad. They have a very big network. Of course, uh, Maruti Suzuki company will have pressure from this dealer. Why? Because they are selling it in a like they do all the massive campaigning, they are hiring employees, all the things they're doing. See, they are the ones who are promoting, selling the car and the product to people. So overnight things cannot be changed. Am I right? So you may have a pressure from your one-off customers. A culture of peer monitored behavior can have a strong influence on ethical behavior. So they may try to pressurize you on some aspects, or at times can be unethical even. So their unethical behavior you should not bear. That means you should not like bow down to their unethical behavior or pressure. Okay. Now, if a critical mass of influential individuals in a professional or business association engage in unethical behavior, the resulting peer pressure can influence the peer group to countenance and encourage similarly improper behavior. So some individuals who are associated with you, and if they are like into, they have some unethical behavior, that can definitely create a pressure on you. Okay. So conversely, if ethical behavior is the accepted and acknowledged norm of social group, individual members will be less likely to engage in improper behavior. So it's very clear. Your company should clearly put its stance in front of all the parties who are doing business with the company, that the norm with which we run our organization is always ethical. That means it's a norm that we work ethically, and these are all the we never like engage ourselves in any kind of unethical acts, and they give their document specifically mentioning that this is the way we work. Then there's less chance of someone influencing you. Okay. Or they may be connecting with you, or since if the connection is there since the beginning, those people are also following the same thing. They are also ethical and you're also ethical. Why? Because they know that you don't do any unethical act. Okay. Now, effect of groupthink on ethical behavior. Groupthink is a negative term that describes poor decision making. See, groupthink is what an individual is not able to decide on something. Okay, there are 10 members, and they kind of, what happens. There are many individuals who have to like take a decision. You know what happens in groupthink? They make their individual group. They make their groups. So in this case, suppose there are some 7-8 individuals who are like the ones who have like social contacts, and they have become friends, and 2 or 3 people they are not in this group. So what happens? All these people will come in this particular meeting, and this 7 to 8 people will all have a very common agenda, and they themselves have already talked to each other before coming to these meetings, and they have already finally decided that what they want to put, they will pressurize others to follow. And these 3 people or 2 people who are individuals, they are not able to do anything here despite of their viewpoints. Why? Because the group wins. Am I right? Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that is kind of a group thing is not good, na? Why? Because the group wants to put pressure and wants to do what they think is right. Correct? So groupthink is negative term that describes poor decision making that results from group dynamics that prioritize harmony over critical thinking. That's what. So if these 2 people are giving some viewpoints which are very critical, but what is happening here? Since the group of 8 people are not accepting their viewpoints, they say majority, what majority have decided has to go in that way. That is what, again, since the majority is accepting some fact, then these two people, even though they're giving some critical suggestion, is not accepted. Now, so do you think now this group thing is good or dangerous? So group is working for its own benefits. That means what they think, what they want, in what way they want to get it done. Okay, so group thing occurs when one or more members of a group feel pressurized to conform to the group's position, even if they personally do not agree. Now, what is happening if suppose I'm a part of this group and I don't agree, even though I cannot do anything? Why? Because I have to go with the group. That's it. Often the group develops rationalizations to its decision and ignores information that could be used to question the decision. So the result is the group embarks on course of action without questioning underlying assumptions. Groupthink may explain partly why companies often make poor decisions despite having sophisticated strategic management. Yeah, because many of them are like going with the stance of majority. So people can find it difficult to think and act independently in group situations. The group members, so what is the remedy for that? No, there shouldn't be any kind of group think. Am I right?
Correct.
Yeah, so we will finish till here today. No problem. We have more 5 minutes. So the group members' desire to maintain group unanimity may override their ability to realistically appraise alternative course of action and make the best choices. Group members may hold an unquestioned belief in company's competence, in the group's competence and morality, and see they are pressurizing what they want, they are making it happen. So some of the symptoms of groupthink are excessive optimism and an illusion of invulnerability. Groupthink can cause group members to believe nothing bad could happen as a result of a decision. What they are thinking is the best. Unquestioned belief. So no, there's no one to question them, whether it's like good or bad. No. And here the ethical and moral issues can also be ignored. Collective rationalization of group decisions. The group discounts any challenges by collectively justifying its decisions. Yeah, there's no scope of you going against that group. Why? Because they have already finalized some things. Shared stereotypes of those outside the group, particularly opponents. So what they say is, whatever we are saying is always right, and whatever you are saying is always something which is against us. They try to make those individual people as their opponents, or try to show them as their opponents. Now, conformity pressure and intolerance to dissent. Group members who raise doubts about the group's assumption and plans are rebuffed and ridiculed. That's what. So if you're not a part of group, you'll always be ridiculed and rebuffed. They won't give you any kind of importance or care for you. Self-censorship, which means that members withhold criticism because disagreement is so uncomfortable and the rest of the group appears to be in consensus. Thus, one who disagrees keeps quiet, convinced that objection would accomplish little. So what they do at the end, it's useless giving our opinion. Why? Because the group has already made its mindset, agreed and all, and now it's not going to work. So that is ethical or unethical? Unethical. No? You're trying to put pressure on someone and not making them to give their opinions. Illusion of union. Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah, illusion of unanimity caused by self-censorship and pressure to conform to the consensus that suppresses all deviation. Self-appointed mind guards who are members that protect the group from negative information that could call into question the effectiveness or morality of its decision. So someone will be there in the group to always protect their viewpoint, and if even though they are negative, they'll always try to show them as positive. So this is what happens in the group thing. So what is the remedy? Definitely this kind of thing should not be there. So group thing can be prevented in the following ways. Avoid using groups or rubber stamps for decisions already made by senior management. Okay, so you should avoid the groups as rubber stamps for decisions already made by. So these we won't follow. And the norms of the group can favor either consensus and groupthink or critical analysis, which prevents groupthink. Urge group members to think independently. Yeah, bring or ask outside experts to come and give their viewpoints, and consider the ramifications of different actions. Take time to consider possible effects and consensus of alternative course of action. So apart from the group, what alternatively they can do. Okay, so we stop here today. Tomorrow we will go from here. Page number Just a second. Page number 197 is what is the next page. So 197, I think more 2 classes ethics we can finish. More 2 classes. By this week I'll wind up the ethics. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
ठीक है.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.